Former prosecutor accused of limiting questions about Joe Biden denies politics played a role in Hunter probe. The former assistant U.S. attorney who allegedly worked to limit questions about Joe Biden denied that politics played a role in the Hunter Biden investigation during her interview at the House Judiciary Committee. According to a transcript reviewed by RZ News, former assistant U.S. attorney Leslie Wolf, though, testified that she would not be permitted to answer most of the questions you have for me due to the ongoing nature of the federal criminal investigation into the first son, Hunter Biden. Investigators limited questions about Dad, Big Guy despite FBI, IRS objections. Whistleblower Wolf, who recently left the Justice Department, a decision that long predated allegations against her, was subpoenaed by the House Judiciary Committee to appear for a deposition. Wolf appeared before the House Judiciary Committee last week for a voluntary transcribed interview, after the Justice Department negotiated terms with the panel. RZ News reviewed a transcript of her interview Thursday night. After her interview, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, R. Ohio, said Wolf refused to answer most of our questions. She refused to answer based on instructions she was given from the Justice Department. Jordan said IRS whistleblowers Gary Shapley, who led the IRS portion of the Hunter Biden probe, and Joseph Ziegler, a special agent within the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, alleged political influence surrounding prosecutorial decisions throughout the Hunter Biden investigation, which began in 2018. Shapley alleged that Wolf sought to block investigators from asking questions related to President Biden throughout the years-long federal investigation into his son, Hunter Biden. But during her interview, Wolf testified that at no time did politics play a role in or in any way impact my work as a federal prosecutor. Wolf also said that prosecutorial decisions were never made in a vacuum and were always guided by principles of justice and fairness. Jordan says former prosecutor who allegedly scuttled Hunter investigation refused to answer questions. My voluntary appearance here today is not without an overwhelming feeling of frustration and disappointment, because as much as I would invite the opportunity to explain the decisions made and accurately describe the actions taken, I will not be permitted to answer most of the questions you have for me, Wolf said. It should come as no surprise to the committee that as a former DOJ employee, I am significantly constrained by and must strictly adhere to the authorization provided by the Department of Justice, as well as those obligations independently imposed by the Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure, including Rule 6, and the relevant laws governing disclosure of tax information. Wolf explained that, in light of the ongoing nature of the investigation, she was legally obligated at this time to largely remain silent as to those allegations, beyond stating the truth, which is, at all times while serving as an AUSA, I acted consistently with the Justice Manual, DOI policy directives, and my statutory legal and ethical obligations. I followed the facts where they led and made decisions in the best interests of the investigation, Wolf said. This includes, but is by no means limited to, policies and rules governing politically sensitive investigations, election year sensitivities, attorney search warrants, search warrant filter requirements, and professional conduct rules barring contact with represented parties. But when faced with specific questions by investigators, Wolf repeatedly said she could not answer or speak to particulars or details about anything relating to the ongoing Hunter Biden probe, led by now Special Counsel David Weiss, and repeatedly said she was not authorized to discuss the matter. Shapley alleged earlier this year that Wolf worked to limit questioning related to President Biden and apparent references to Biden as Dad or the Big Guy. But according to ARZ News' review of the transcript, investigators did not ask her about that specific allegation. Shapley and Ziegler also alleged that in October 2020, Wolf reviewed an affidavit for a search warrant of Hunter Biden's residence and agreed that probable cause had been achieved. However, Shapley said Wolf ultimately would not allow a physical search warrant on the president's son. Shapley said Wolf determined there was enough probable cause for the physical search warrant there, but the question was whether the juice was worth the squeeze. Wolf allegedly said that optics were a driving factor in the decision on whether to execute a search warrant, Shapley said, adding that Wolf agreed that a lot of evidence in our investigation would be found in the guest house of former Vice President Biden, but said there is no way we will get that approved. Leslie Wolf, Prosecutor accused of working to limit questions about Big Guy and Hunter probe, out at DOJ. Wolf also allegedly tipped off Hunter Biden's legal team ahead of a planned search of his storage unit. During her interview, Wolf did acknowledge that political figure one, a term used in several communications between Hunter Biden investigators, was, in fact, a reference to then Vice President Joe Biden. Wolf was asked about an email exchange with FBI Special Agent Joshua Wilson, in which she stated, "There should be nothing about political figure one in here." Wolf said political figure one is described as former Vice President Joseph Robinette Biden, Jr., now President Biden, but would not specifically elaborate on why she gave that directive. Wolf was asked, "To the extent you didn't, you asked the agents to take out political figure one. There was no political motivation in requesting that. I refer you back to my opening statement, where I said at no time there was politics playing a role in those decisions." Wolf's testimony came as part of the House impeachment inquiry against President Biden, which was formalized last week. House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith, ARMO, Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, R-Ohio, and Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, ARCI, are leading the investigation as the House gathers evidence and considers whether to draft articles of impeachment against President Biden. The committees are investigating the alleged politicization of the federal probe into Hunter Biden. They are also investigating the Biden family's foreign business dealings and whether the president was involved or benefited directly from those ventures. President Biden has repeatedly denied having any involvement in his son's business dealings. Hunter Biden was subpoenaed as part of the inquiry as well, but defied his subpoena to appear for a deposition at the House Oversight Committee last week. Instead, he made a public statement on Capitol Hill, blasting the Republican impeachment inquiry and saying his father was not financially involved in his business dealings. Comer and Jordan have threatened to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress.